morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about the new Pokémon TCG Pocket drop event. And if you watch this channel, you will know I love a nice drop event. These drop events, they might legitimately be my favourite thing about Pokémon TCG Pocket. I adore the drop event. I love sitting down and brewing decks to destroy the drop event, and then my kids love opening the special packs, as they call them, what we call promo packs, and then we can sit and have a jolly old time. We open them and then we do battles and everybody wins. This time around it is a Zoroark drop event, so let's do what we always do and have a look at all of the cards that are available, how much you should care, and then give you some decks that you can use to smash the event wide open. Sounds like a plan? Excellent. Now, the big one here, the big promo we're looking for, is the alternate art of Zoroark. This is not a new card. This is an alternate art of the Zoroark that just came around very, very recently in Secluded Spring. It's that one. It's a cool card. It's a really nice card, actually, because it's got, now the attack 2 energy 70 is fine, but the ability says that if you KO using this Pokemon's attacks, then during your opponent's next turn, you're invincible. You take no damage from an effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Obviously, the artwork here is just amazing, but this is a really interesting Pokemon that you should have a little bit of a look at. Now, there's also an alternate art of Zoroark. And again, we're talking about the same Zoroark from the set. They're both actually really nice artworks here, so I'm going to let you decide which ones you like. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's an alternate art and it seems incredibly cool. And then we've got an alternate art of the Milotic from the set as well. Now, bearing in mind, Milotic did have two artworks in Secluded Spring. We had the regular, but then it did get one of those lovely alternate arts as well. So we got three artworks here. It's up to you to decide which one you like the most. I really like the ability Healing Ripples, that when you play this Pokemon to evolve one of your Pokemon from your hand, you can heal 60 from a water Pokemon. Water Pokemon have sneakily ended up with a lot of healing lately. This is just another trick towards it. They're all alternate art. They're lovely. But we do have a couple of brand new cards here as well, including Tropius. Now, the new Tropius, 2 energy, flip 2 coins, 40 for each heads. It's very flippy, and it's 2 energy on a basic, and that makes me a little bit sad, because a lot of the time it's going to be 2 energy, 40, and I just, like, if you're playing a grass deck and you're desperate, like, this can work, but it's too flippy, and it's too much energy on a basic Pokemon. Having said that, the only other Tropius we've ever had was the one that came around in Eevee Grove, and that one was just free energy 60, which is probably worse. Of course, it's also worth pointing out that Tropius is just a basic standalone Pokemon with no known evolutions. We don't actually need to play any of them. The other brand new one we've got here is Poliwag, and as an evolving basic, we need to actually take this one a little bit seriously. Single energy, 40 damage, flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. Now, you can use Will here, and will guarantee that you get the heads. I'm not sure it's the best or most efficient use of Will, but the thing you need to remember is that single energy 40 on a basic Pokemon, there are a lot of evolving Pokemon in this game that have 60 HP and a plus 20 weakness. So evolving Pokemon that are weak to water, a lot of the time this will one-hit KO if you flip a heads. You go first, get a turn 1 attack, yeah. With Will, you get the KO. Without it, you don't. Well, you do half the time, I suppose. But I think it's absolutely worth the risk, because we've got the one that came around in Wisdom of Sea and Sky that does single energy 20, or we've got the one that came around in Genetic Apex that does single energy 10. Incidentally, don't play that. Well, I suppose it's colorless energy, but still terrible. And then we've got the one that came around in Secluded Spring that does, to be fair, get your other Poliwag onto your bench. This is my favorite. this might actually be the most important card in this whole promo pack, because if you're playing a Poliwag deck in the future, I genuinely think like this is going to be the one that I choose to play personally. So actually, this is kind of awesome. So that's the new promo pack then. What are we going to use to go and take down the event? Well, obviously the event is going to have your Zoroark you need to take out. Now, the lower end tends to be kind of easy, so we're going to focus on the higher end here. And we've got Darkrai and Absol. There are other Pokemon in the lower end which are going to be there, but like the Dragalge Free Energy 70, I'm just not that worried about Dragalge, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can largely, any deck I'm going to give you here is not really going to be too worried about that Dragalge. But we need to be focusing on the Absol, the Zoroark, and the Darkrai. So we need to think about Pokemon that are going to be taking out those. And wonderful news, I've got some options. And honestly, the best option here might just be Meowscarada. I love Meowscarada. Yes, I am well aware that it is a Stage 2, but by the same token, we've got Rare Candy nowadays. Rare Candy has made Stage 2s a lot more viable since it came around in Celestial Guardians, so I'm not as worried as I was before here. Rare Candy works absolutely fine for me. I'm willing to allow it. And the thing about Meowscarada is, we've got 2 energy, 60 damage, but against an EX it does 70 more. So against a Darkrai it's going to do 130. With weakness it's going to do 150. Congratulations. You just got a one-hit KO on Darkrai. And that's why I love this. Now, it is worth noting that, I'm going to say it here in case I forget to say it later, there are always challenges where you have to use, only Diamond Rarity Pokemon. Both the Sprigatito and the Meowscarada have really lovely alternate art versions. But if you play them, you will fail the challenge because they're not actually Diamond Rarity Pokemon. Please bear that in mind when you're doing the whole deck building thing. But I love this Meowscarada. I think this is going to be one that gets you just a whole bunch of wins. It's 2 energy, and then you're one-hit KOing absolutely everything. The biggest issue here is that it actually doesn't KO Zoroark. Because Zoroark's got 100 HP, which means that you're doing 60 with weakness is 80. You're actually not getting a KO on Zoroark here, which is a little bit annoying, but don't worry, we've got new Celebi. The new Celebi's actually kind of busted in this kind of event. 2 grass energy, 40 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolved Pokemon, devolve it by putting the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. So you'll do 40, and then devolve it. You'll also do the extra 20 for weakness, and it will go down to a 60 HP Zorua. And then you'll get the KO, and life will be good. While we're here, there's also a couple of grass-specific cards that work really nicely. From Genetic Apex, we've got Erica, who heals 50 damage, and between Darkrai's ability putting on some extra damage, and things like Absol randomly hitting the bench, this is something that we actually might want to use here. Healing 50 on a supporter is kind of ridiculously good. And then we've got ourselves a really specific tool card, Leaf Cape, which gives 30 extra HP to grass Pokemon, which is very, very good. It's only for grass Pokemon, but it's very good. Any deck you're making here that you can find room for these cards, highly recommend playing them because it's ridiculously good, frankly. And I might as well give you the first list now. This is probably my favorite list that I'm going to give you for this whole event, honestly. I adore this deck. It's very straightforward, but it is just, as I told you a minute ago, Celebi and Meowscarada. Now, the only issue I've got here is that I might want to put Pokemon Communication to get my Meowscarada out earlier, and I think if we're doing that, we have to cut Erica. X-Speed is incredibly important because everything's got 1 retreat cost, but also there's if you need Celebi out the active when Meowscarada's ready to go, X-Speed will help you out there. Moving on to other Pokemon, there are some other ones I like Leafeon EX. I adore Leafeon EX here, because it's free energy 70, but the ability lets you attach an extra energy to one of your grass Pokemon. Firstly, it turns this into a pseudo 2 energy attack. Attach turn 1, evolve, attach ability you're off and rolling. But also, for all the time Leafeon is sitting in the active, you can be then attaching to something else using the ability and getting rolling much, much faster. Also, every time you're using Leafeon, then you can just go and play Sylveon. And Sylveon, when you evolve into it, lets you draw extra cards. Yeah, that's kind of redonk. And of course, you can play Eevee EX in addition to Eevee, because, whoa, then you've got extra consistency. Now you've got 3 or 4 of your basic, rather than the 2 you would otherwise have. If we want a partner for this, one that a lot of people use that I'm not entirely convinced by is Alolan Executor. Free energy, 150, but you've got to flip a heads. The thing is, when we're playing in this event, we really want something that can get a clean one-hit KO on a Darkrai. So, yeah, use this to get a clean one-hit KO on a Darkrai. Hang on a second, I hear you shout. How can we guarantee we're going to flip a heads? Will. I showed you that Will card earlier. Yeah, this one will work very, very nicely indeed, because it guarantees that your next flip is going to be a heads. Here's a deck list for this one. And again, I want Pokemon Communication. Again, I'm considering cutting Erica for Pokemon Communication. And I really want a second Eevee EX. And I really want a second Sylveon EX. I just cannot find room to do so. And I'd probably put Pokemon Communication in before them anyway. Lists get tight in Pokemon TCG Pocket. But this is what I'm looking at right now. Just remember, you have to play 2 Will. There is, if you really want to mix this up, you could just cut 2 Erica and 2 Leaf Cape, put in 2 Communication, 1 more Eevee EX and 1 more Sylveon. You'll have a bit less bulk going on, but it will be a bit more of a consistent list as we go. And then I cannot finish without reminding you about my old faithful deck here. It is, of course, Executor EX and Celebi EX. This was a deck early on. And by early on, I mean in Mythical Island. And when Mythical Island came out, I was playing this deck so much. Is it actually good? I mean, in theory, yeah. But there's a lot of flipping going on. A lot of flipping going on. And that can be flipping annoying. Like Executor EX, if you flip a heads, 100 damage with weakness for a single energy, great. Also, I love the fact that you go first, can't attach an energy, but turn 2, evolve, attach, and get rolling. The theory with this deck is you swing with Executor until you have to move on, and by which point you should have 4 or 5 energy on Celebi, and then Powerful Bloom lets you flip a coin for each energy on it, doing 50 for each heads. And then you do loads of damage. Celebi's flippy, Executor's flippy. It's probably not the best deck. Here's my list. I like this list, although it reminds me of the very, very early days of Pokemon Pocket, so that might be why. And the good news is we only need to play 6 Pokemon, so we can play 2 X-Speed and 2 Pokemon Communication and 2 Leaf Cape and 2 Erica. But I'm going to be real with you. This is very, very flippy. The other reason I'm showing you this, though, is this is an old deck. So all these cards are tradable for, and there's a good chance you've got them lying around at this point anyway. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these new promos. Tell me which of these decks I've shown you like the most. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely It's a Coaster, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is awesome. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.